Pokemon theme is out there, where you've got to catch them all. You've got to collect all the little creatures, and there are many board games which are now delving into this Pokemon-esque feel. And one such example is Dragon Eclipse from Awakened Realms. So how does Dragon Eclipse measure up for me? In this game, you're going out into a fantasy world, and you will be taming and collecting a host of different creatures to fight for you, essentially. Although I've never been a huge fan of Pokemon, I do like the concept itself. I do like that you are some kind of an animal trainer or someone who goes out essentially finding these different species and taming them into a little army of creatures that you can call out into battle. I like that idea. It's a good concept. And so this is what drew me to Dragon Eclipse. I was very interested in the theme, and a lot of the stuff I read on the campaign page, it really drew me in. You've got obviously the adventure side where you're going to go out and do your adventure book, reading the story, making decisions which influence the course of the game, and just unraveling the whole story as it progresses. And then there's the battling side where you're going to go into an arena, you're going to send one of your creatures into the fight and obviously defeat your opponent, or in some cases fulfill special objectives so that you can tame them. Yeah, I was really interested in the game from the GameFound campaign when it was live. The combination of these two modes is typical in most games like this, and it works really, really well. The combat system is very fluid, and this is a single player game. It does have a 2-player mode where you can play cooperatively through the campaign together. In addition, there is a 1 versus 1 mode where you can duel against the other player, or there is also a roguelike mode at the end. This is the first game where I feel like the 2-player mode is actually the tacked on mode. Typically, you find games have a additional solo mode for you to try. But this is one of the first games where I feel like it's the other way around, it's reversed. I feel like this is a solo game, but they have added a 2-player mode for you to try. And yeah, that's it. It's, in a nutshell, that is the game. I was really excited by the premise. So let's go over my thoughts and we'll talk about the positives and the negatives of what my impressions are at this point. So let's start with the positives. First of all is the gameplay and it being very streamlined. The adventure side, following the adventure book through from one thing to another, understanding what's happening as the story is progressing. There's no issues there. It's very fluid, very easy to follow, and it shows you step by step everything you need if you follow the introductory manual. So it's really good. And the combat itself, the structure of the combat is also very streamlined and very accessible. There's only 5 steps. It makes combat fast. It makes it enjoyable. Right, so the card gameplay in the combat is something I think is outstanding. You essentially choose a card to play from your line of cards. You will gain the amber, the resource you're going to use to execute bonus actions above it. So if you choose one more to the right, you're going to get more of that resource. And obviously, as cards get pushed to the right, it might make them more desirable later in the game. So the ones that you don't pick straight away might become more desirable later. But you will take the resource, you will then execute the card. You can do a bonus action before and a bonus action after. But how that works, how the cards play, the rules around them, it's so well designed. It's so good, the combat. I like it a lot. It's very well executed. It's simplified, easy to follow. The combat steps, very good, very structured. You play a bonus action if you want before you take the card, and then you play your bonus action after. The combat in this game is fantastic. Really fantastic. And the enemy is easy to understand. It's easy to do their turn as well. You essentially draw a behavior card. You have some cards with a symbol on them. And then the symbol will match the card relevant to that monster. And it will tell you, depending on the symbol, what that creature does. Does he advance and attack? Does he retreat and try to throw something at you from long range? It will tell you what to do. It will also have a special point at which, once it's drawn so many behavior cards, it's going to trigger a special ability. It's so smooth, the combat gameplay. I really enjoy every time I'm getting into a fight. It's not like, oh no, I have a combat sequence. I really enjoy it. The production, the art of this game, absolutely beautiful. I really, really like the look of this game. The art on the cards, gorgeous. There is, if you got the Kickstarter version, there are some, I don't know if it's in the standard version, but there are like hollow kind of cards that are very nice quality. Just throughout all of it, it's a beautiful game. I think this is one of my favourite looking games that Awakened Realms has done. And I like Nemesis and I like a few others they've done. But I think visually, I think this is one of the nicest games I think they've made presentation wise. I like it a lot. The creatures are all different and I like the creatures I've seen. They're unique, they look different, they act different as well. When you encounter them, this goes on to taming as well, which is another mechanic I really like. During the battle, when you encounter a creature you don't already have at your roster, you can do battle against them and try to tame them through completing special objectives. And if you manage to do that, instead of having to defeat them and bring their life to 0 altogether, you will stop the fight early by meeting those conditions. So it's really cool in that respect. And then at that point, there will become another creature you can then use and play with in your future games, future sessions. It's really, really good. I always go for the taming. I never go for I just want to eliminate them. I always go for the taming. I try to tame whatever creatures I encounter. I like that. It's gives me a bit of the obviously the Pokemon-esque feel, but also like Ark Survival Evolved on the computer. I love playing games like that. Being able to tame the creatures, I find that enjoyable. I find that more rewarding than just going around killing everything, you know? Yeah, I like it. I think the mechanic is very, very good, where meeting those objectives, it drives you to do it because you're going to get a new creature, a new potential deck, a new monster in your arsenal to use for the future. The storytelling, the adventure guide book, where you're reading through all of the steps and reading the story as you go, is very well written. I will give it that. It's well written. I don't think this is an adult, this is probably not going to be like Tainted Grail. I've not played Tainted Grail, but I know that the theme is more mature. So don't be expecting a Tainted Grail kind of world. This is a lot more toned down, a lot more pleasant, and probably just, it's nice to play something that's not as grim and dark for a change, I do like a lot of those kind of games, but not every game needs to be in a dark, horrible setting. So I like that. But obviously things are still going to happen and the world is going to change around you, and you've got to make decisions in the adventure on what you're going to do to face these crises. And I'm enjoying it so far. I'm enjoying the story and I'm liking the writing very much. And obviously there is illustrations in the book throughout that will give you an idea of what you're looking at sometimes. It's nice to not always just have a pile of text to read. It's nice to give you some kind of visual reflection of what the authors were thinking about with their art, showing you what you're seeing in these scenes, etc. So that's quite nice. I like all the components. Nothing feels out of place. It's all well designed. Does the job it needs to. The box is lovely. I like the strategic gameplay when you're in the arena and you're fighting an opponent. You're thinking about not only what you're going to do, but what is your opponent going to do? What are they likely to do? Are they going to stay next to you? Because in a lot of cases, I want them to stay next to me so that I can attack them next turn. And are they going to stay there, or are they going to do a runner? Are they going to come in and charge and do loads and loads of damage? So do I need to get away? So you're not only thinking about what you want to do, you're thinking about what is your opponent doing and how can you counter it to give you the best tactical advantage. But it doesn't feel overly complex. It's not to the point where you're going to be struggling to decide. It's just going to make you think a lot more about your turns. Then there's loads of the other stuff on top. There is a PvP mode. I haven't tried that, but it's probably going to be quite enjoyable, especially if the gameplay is similar to the solo in terms of the arena fights. There's the deck building. In between missions, you'll be building your decks and adjusting them with cards because you're going to unlock new cards as you play the campaign. You've got boosters if you paid for the the expensive version, or just like plastic wallets that some are in. And you'll unlock new cards that you can edit your decks with over the course of the game which is fantastic. And yeah, there's different variations. There's a roguelike mode that you can play if you complete the campaign. There's a lot on offer in this game. I'm very pleased with it. My first impressions are very, very good, and there's a lot of positives here. So, there is some negatives though. First of all, the rulebook. Awakened Realms makes many games that have large, heavy, complex rulebooks that make the barrier to entry quite difficult. I remember the first time I got Nemesis and I opened it up, and it was walls of text. It was not an enjoyable read. It was not easy, but although it was structured and well laid out, and it did make sense as you read through the rules, it just wasn't easy to absorb all that information. And the rulebook in Dragon Eclipse, although it is in the same format, is a large square rulebook with many, many pages. I don't feel that game is as complicated as their previous titles. I don't feel Dragon Eclipse is as bad as those, but it's still a large rulebook with everything you need in it. All of it is covered, so it should give you a complete overview of the game. So you've got to understand that there's a lot to read. It might be a lot for you to absorb, information-wise. The next one is an important criticism, because I held Peacekeepers, another title, to the same kind of issues, really. Is that on the map that you get for the arena, all of the fighting isn't necessarily going to expand out to the edges of the map. You're probably going to have a lot of the action itself happening in the center of the board. So the edges don't feel like they're utilized that much. Now, obviously, I've only played a few arena fights, but for the ones that I have played, most of the action is contained in the center of the board. So it does feel like the edges of the maps aren't utilized that much. I have played a battle against one monster literally yesterday, which has probably been the worst fight, the worst experience of all the arena fights today. And I've probably played over 6 now. And it was the worst experience because the monster was running in, hitting me, and running away over and over and over again. And because I'd chosen a different creature, a new one that I'd not got as stronger cards for it, I felt like the enemy was running circles around me. It'd run up, attack me, run off, and I would spend my entire turn moving closer, only for it to then attack me and run off again, and this to happen over and over again. Now, this is just one experience, though, out of multiple fights. All the other fights were interesting, they were quite fun, I was really engaged in them. But this particular one, obviously, it wasn't the most enjoyable experience. Now, that might be because I haven't unlocked better cards yet for that creature, and there's different types, different elements of creatures in this game. You've got your fire, you've got your water, blah, blah, blah. And this one was a water creature. And I didn't have many great cards unlocked for it, so that could be why I was struggling. But I just felt like that monster didn't need to run away after every single move. It just kind of got very frustrating. So there will be some monsters that will be more difficult. That must be stated. Don't think that everyone's going to be a cakewalk. And you can't tame everyone as well. This particular monster, for this scenario, this particular scene, you couldn't tame it. There's some that they don't allow you to tame until probably later in the game. They don't want you to have them early on. But that was the worst experience. Every other arena fight, we're talking over 5, I enjoyed every single one. There was tactical decisions, moving into position, getting my monster ready and powering up its abilities to use them at the right time. I really like the combat, I really like the gameplay, but that was probably my worst experience to date of the arena fighting. So choose who you're sending into the fight very wisely. Your starting creature is probably going to be a good fighter compared to a couple of the others you might unlock in the early stages of the campaign. On the table, it might not be the prettiest because you've got stuff everywhere. You've got the adventure book, you've got the arena book, you've got your piles of different cards, your item cards, the enemy attack cards, you've got this. It's not particularly laid out in a very fancy way. Don't expect this to look pretty on the table. But you're going to be moving stuff around, you're going to be changing from the campaign story mode You're going to flip it over into the arena mode and set up the arena battle. You're going to have the battle, then you're going to clear all that. Then you're going to get your world map and your adventure story book back out, and you're going to carry on with the adventure book. So it's a bit of a mess on the table. It's not a game that's going to look pretty. But it is a good game and a very thoroughly enjoyable one. And obviously the player count is another thing that must be mentioned. It's a one-player game. There's no ifs and buts. You can probably play it with your friends and you all make decisions as a group and enjoy the experience and the adventure as a group, but it's designed for one player to play the campaign. Your two-player mode, obviously I haven't tried it, so I can't comment either way on that one, but this is a one-player solo game. I think that about covers it. I think I've given you a good context of the game at this stage. Like I said, I'm early on in the campaign. This is a very accessible game that is streamlined, easy to get out, easy to set up, and easy to play. Now, there was a lot of learning in the early stages with the rulebook, but I feel like I've mastered the rules now that I can just get it out and play it whenever. It might need a little refresh if it's been a long time, but generally on the Awaken Realms scale of games, this is one of their most simple games to get to the table, and I really like that. I really like that it's a solo game that I can enjoy myself, and I really am enticed to try the dual mode, the two-player mode where you're versing each other. I'd like to see how that plays out, but I want to play the entire game first, and then we can choose whatever creatures we want to play with at that point. But generally, my first impressions of the game are very, very good. I like Dragon Eclipse. I like what I've got. I do regret not getting all the miniatures. I did want to paint them. I opted out and just went for the standees for this one. And I think in the next campaign that's coming very, very soon, if it is an option, I'll probably get all the miniatures and then paint them up. Because although the tokens look amazing, I'd just love to do the painting side. But they're not a necessity. You do not need the miniatures to play this game. That must also be stated. You can just play this game and have the standees. They look gorgeous themselves. You don't need miniatures. That's just a little thing that I enjoy doing. I like to paint. But I am excited because they're going to be doing another campaign for Dragon Eclipse. There's going to be a whole new host of stuff to come for this game. And I like, so far, everything I've seen about this universe, this setting. I want more of it. And for me, Dragon Eclipse is a perfect game so far. I'm really happy with it. There are imperfections, there are issues here and there, but for me, for what I expected when I backed the campaign, it has met all of my expectations. Very pleased with Dragon Eclipse, and I can't wait to play more of it. So, I hope you enjoyed this. This is just a little overview, a little bit of a talk about the game as it is. My first impressions. I'm not telling you the entire game is amazing. I haven't completed the campaign yet, but it's off to a good start. I'm really liking the universe, the setting, the gameplay, the fluidity of the turns, everything about it. Very good. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you played it, let me know what you think of Dragon Eclipse. Are you interested in Dragon Eclipse? Do you like the premise? Is there anything that stands out to you here that I've talked about today? Let us know your thoughts. And please obviously subscribe, like the video, hit the notifications, and I'll see you all next time.